What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today in this video, we got Mimi and Jonathan. They're going to bring on some alpha for Levana and the Dragons. Let's go and see what you guys got. And also, guys, if you want to stay till then, actually, you are going to stay till then. We're going to give some community questions so you guys can get the alpha that you guys really want. Actually, I think this is going to be the real alpha here.
All right, let me share my screen. Yeah, thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure. We had a lot of fun last time on the show.
It's an honor,
great
man.
to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for jumping on.
All right, now we go into, okay, what do we got here? Okay, first thing that I want to show. I'm gonna handle the camera, but Mimi, if you want to just take it and describe what we're looking at.
Absolutely. So today we launched the infographic to explain genetic modifications of baby dragons. So what's going to happen is that by applying certain types of dust to your nested egg, you'll be able to achieve genetic modifications. It's something that the scientists in our lab worked for months on to figure out exactly how to genetically modify these babies to get the eye colors and other features that you want. So the really cool thing about the dust is that it contains so many different elements and gems and infusions. And so people wondered, what those things represented or what they could do. And so here you have a first example of one of our cute baby dragons with some changing eyes so that you could kind of get a sense of how this is going to play out. So maybe you can switch now to the infographic. So there's so much information that we had to break it out into a number of different infographics. So thanks for that, for everyone trying to, kind of understand and figure out exactly how this works out. So for common dragons, there are essentially two eye colors that can be customized. There's blue and there's yellow. So if you have common dust that has a gem of topaz, carmelite, or larimar, then you'll get yellow eyes if you decide to use the dust. If you have a gem, if you have dust that has a gem of azurite or sapphire, you'll get blue eyes. And if you decide not to customize, so you can see that there's the three natural eye colors at the bottom, and those will be assigned on a random basis to all common dragons. So essentially we'll have 5 eye colors for common dragons. And now if we move to rare dragons, so rare has more gems than common does. So we have 3 customizable eye colors, which is ruby and cinnabar will give you red eyes, red beryl and garnet will give you orange eyes, and red diamond and red jasper will give you purple eyes. Now, in addition to that, if you decide again not to customize, so you'll have the 3 colors that we had in the common, and then an additional hazel-ish green, which is pretty fun. So now already we're starting to get into a higher, a bigger number of eye colors. We move to the ancient dragons. So again, that quarter bottle of dust, which has one of these gems in it, will give you diamond, will give you white eyes, opal will give you purple, malachite and peridot would give you like a light green turquoise.
Purple? I wouldn't have called this purple. This is purple, isn't it?
I would call
no,
that
that's
indigo.
like magenta.
Oh,
yeah.
Magenta will do. Magenta will do.
Yep.
So tourmaline will give you magenta, and emerald will give you emerald. So, and then we have additional natural eye colors. So you have, again, the 3 that you found in common, plus the hazel, and then an additional sort of like lilac.
This is beyond my my pay grade of color recognizing. I'm like a Crayola 8-box set kind of guy.
I'm not even that far. I'm just like pencil or pen. So do these colors, are these just like aesthetics, or do these actually have like an effect for the dragon?
Well, it definitely impacts the rarity. Yep. Go ahead.
Yes. No, you can go ahead, Jonathan.
So it for sure impacts the rarity. In terms of impacting gameplay, so we hadn't really considered that yet. There's going to be a number of different things, and we don't want to spoil all of it, that you'll be able to customize. So some of it will directly impact gameplay, but it'll be more obvious. And so eye color itself that wasn't in the cards, at least in our current version of our game design document. But if there was enough interest to have it have independent or interactive or functional aspects to it, it's always possible. But it wasn't. Look, there's my eye color and your eye color might not be the same, and that probably hasn't played such a big impact on our lives. I don't know. Maybe other people. I have like poopy brown colored eyes, so
Well, it
maybe
gets
if I
the chicks, right?
yeah, I guess maybe if I had blue eyes, I wouldn't be saying the same thing.
That's true.
So do you want to talk about the
All right,
legendary?
and so finally we have legendary dragons, which this was a little bit hard to explain, but I want to go over it carefully. So we thought long and hard, and the scientists worked very hard working with the legendary dragons to get the results that everybody, I think, expected and wanted. And I am super proud to say that after months of working on this, it did work. So multicolor eyes are possible. In order to do that, you need legendary composition in any dust. And so you see the yellow, orange, and the blue at the top. So that's possible if you have common dust with one of those two colors. If you remember, if you go back to the common, right? Common has like two different types of gems. So if you have a common that has legendary composition, but it has topaz, carmelite, or larimar, then you can get the legendary two-tone eyes of that yellow reddish. And if it has the other two gems, right? If it has sapphire or azurite, you'll get the blue two-tone. Then if you move over, right? And that's with legendary comp. If you don't use legendary comp, if you just use common dust, you can still get yellow or blue, but you're not going to get that two-tone eye. So this is a case where legendary dragons don't have to use legendary composition. They can just use regular standard, half Luna dust.
So
regular
new question. If you already used your dust to nest the dragon, this is talking about using additional dust for the eyes?
Correct. Every customization.
Okay. So you can use the legendary dust for a common dragon then.
Hold on. Let's go back. You can use legendary dust on a common dragon, but don't do that. Like save it for a legendary dragon.
I'm just meaning for someone who can't cough up the cash, but they can cough up the cash for a legendary dust. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, but no, it won't change the color of a common dragon. A common dragon can never have legendary eyes.
Oh man. Oh, okay.
Only a legendary can have legendary eyes, and it's only if they use legendary comp.
Okay, that makes sense.
But if a legendary owner doesn't want to use legendary composition, they can use just regular common or regular rare or regular ancient dust and get regular eye colors, right, by using those gems.
Okay.
So you probably wouldn't, just looking at it, what we see here, just looking at some of the floors, the legendary composition are sitting at around, let's see.
Jonathan, you don't know how to use this thing? Go on the left-hand side, go on rarity,
right?
Select legendary.
No.
I'm looking at this man scroll from lowest to highest. I'm like,
wait. No, it's actually the legendary attributes are hidden. They're Easter eggs within the other dusts. So you actually can't do that because the legendary meteors all became, they all cracked. If you're, again, if you're listening and you're not familiar with the story, so Levana is a story that takes place on Mars. It takes place about 400 years in the future, 440 years in the future, and the Martian colony is controlled by the council. And one day meteors start falling, and one of the meteors cracks open, and it has a dragon inside of it, or a dragon egg inside of it. Now, not all of the meteors have dragon eggs inside of them. Most of the meteors just have dust. So the game that we built, which we launched in November, and to date about 10,000 people have participated in playing it, is where we did a meteor shower where the meteors fell. People could collect them. It started at about 8 UST in order to collect them, and then they cracked them open. So if you found a legendary meteor, all legendary meteors contained dragon eggs. So then you have to ask yourself, well, where do you get legendary dust. So it actually is contained within an Easter egg of the legendary composition. It's kind of a little bit tricky, like you saw. I was fumbling around to be able to show this on Random Earth. But if you just come down here and you click the 5 different ones, you can see the dust that has legendary assets in it.
So some
so
of these actually have legendary assets in them.
Yes,
they do.
So
So
this
they have
one is
legendary composition,
which is xenon. And so if you just looked at the floor, so the floor here for legendary dust is 3.455 today. If you were to just look at regular.
Wait, but this is common dust you're showing us right here, right?
That is common dust that has legendary composition, and that is how legendary dragons get nested. That's how they if you want legendary customizations, you need to use legendary dust.
So this is technically an alpha leak. You can get some arbitrage on this.
Yes, if you can find. So one of the best things is to like go and play Salim's adventure. So it's on our website, salim.levana.finance. So it's a like a side scroller. Get that. And this is Salim is one of our heroes. This is the leader of the Free Martians. Her name is Ima. So she calls for him. He's one of the best meteor hunters on the planet. So she tells him to go to the cave of the dragons to watch out for the spiders, and then the rocks and other things, and go to the dragon graveyard, and then if you actually beat this side scroller, then which is actually it's fun. Like my kids have beat it like numerous times now. But if you beat this, and you have to have an Levana NFT in order to play, but if you beat this, then the next epoch, which happens about once a week, you will get airdropped a free bottle of dust, which a certain percentage of them contain the legendary attributes.
So that's if you beat this game.
Yep. And everybody who beats it gets a prize, as long as you still have a Levana NFT in your wallet at the time that the snapshot is taken, which again, it happens about once a week. So if you don't have any dust, it's good to just come back and play this. And so this little guy Salim, we actually keep a running tally of how many times that he's died. He's died, I think, over 400,000 times now. So it's players have really put in a lot of effort to try and beat this. And it's
I contributed to that, like 300,000 of them. I tried.
Yeah,
I keep dying. I get wrecked.
Did you not? Did you finish?
I beat the first 2 levels, and then I just kept getting wrecked, and I was about to throw my computer at the wall, and it was like 3 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
You need to get somebody that's like under the age of 10 to beat it for you, because that's what I've had a lot of friends that struggled with it, and they just got their, they got their kids, or they got their nieces and nephews or younger siblings, and they were all able to get through it just fine. Yeah. So this is also something that, we want to talk, another topic, or Mimi, is there anything else you wanted to talk about the customization?
Dude, that dragon looks fire right there. The thing was
did want to just clarify that, again, for legendary owners, these legendary dragons are so powerful that they don't need legendary composition if you don't have it. So you can get, this really cool multicolor eyes that only legendary dragons can have if you use legendary comp dust. But if you don't have that, and you just, have any other dust, if you have common, rare, or ancient dust, then you can get those colors in your legendary in your legendary dragon. So if you think about, how many colors that is. And then if you decide you're not going to customize your legendary dragon at all, there's these 6 natural eye colors that will be assigned randomly to all legendaries that don't customize. So you can just get a sense now of how many different eye colors there are essentially available to the entire, I don't know what to call them even. The collection.
Those natural eye colors like poo-poo, man.
To this stage of the genetic modification, because there's a number. One of the things that we're super excited about is innovating within the NFT space. And so just like how the meteor shower was an innovative distribution process, and evolutionary NFTs are innovative. We actually extended and changed how NFTs are built on Terra in order to accomplish what we've done, and also keeping them, compatible, obviously, with all the marketplaces, and they are standard but extended Terra NFTs, which is based on the CW 721 contract. And what we've also done is create this interesting game theory where as people begin to customize, and they'll have there will be a number of different ways that you can customize it. I don't want to say the exact number because I don't want to leak it yet, but it creates an opportunity for you to decide the rarity of your your dragon that will hatch. And so instead of just kind of like a blind mint, so you can actually control where it will be in the pecking order of your various tier.
Right. And also, I just wanted to point out as well that, we all relate obviously to eyes, right? They say that they're the window of the soul. And so you might have an eye color that is precious to you, or you might want your, baby dragon companion to look a certain way. And I think that anyone that's experienced a normal mint, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of throw my ticket into the pot and hope that I get something that I love. And we're giving people really the opportunity to build something that they love. And I love that about this project. I think that, that allows you to really relate to and build a relationship with your baby dragon. So I'm very excited to see this out in the open and, these baby dragons hatch.
I agree with you. Getting someone attached to the NFT is probably one of the best methods to it. That's very smart. What you guys built, it's amazing. It's phenomenal, actually. So keep doing what you guys are doing.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the faction war? We're leading up. We're part of the Delphi incubator, which has 3 different projects that are being incubated currently. So Astroport, which launched in December, Mars, which will have their airdrop and their liquidity bootstrapping, which will be in 12 more days on February 20, or 11 more days, February 21st. And then Levana, which will launch roughly a month after that. So we are gearing up to the airdrop of our token. And just as I said before, how we try and innovate in everything that we do. We're also innovating in how the airdrop will function and how we kind of determine who will be interacting with liquidity bootstrapping and receive the airdrop token. So leading up into that, we created something called the Faction Wars, which we started by distributing talismans. We just airdropped talismans to, I think, around 7,000 people so far, but we've been in discussion with some other NFT groups about getting them involved as well. And we've broken it up. It's put this again as part of the story. So there's the council, which are kind of like the evil overlords the master manipulators. There's the Terrans, who are, they're the hard workers. They're the builders. They're connected to nature. They're, committed to making the desert bloom. And they actually are the producers. And they're the majority. And then there's the Free Martians, which the Free Martians they were Terrans that broke away at the end of the previous Civil War. And so that was about 3 generations ago. So now they live closer to the equator, and they're more native to the planet Mars, or they're more connected to it. And they live a combination of underground and, in kind of nomadic communities and a few well-established cities, about a week's travel away from where the council is based. And then the Guardians, I don't know why this didn't load. Maybe I can get it to open image in new tab. But the Guardians were created after the previous Civil War as like the peacekeepers. They were created by the council. But once the dragons came, so then the Guardians had to question where whether they wanted to be just like the lapdogs of the council, or whether they wanted to have a different future for Mars. For Mars itself.
Okay.
And here's their symbol. And so then we also created that there's the premier leaders. So 2%, roughly 2% of the talismans that were distributed became the premier talismans. And in the faction war, the premiers will have more responsibilities than the rest of the community. And
Okay.
to show you, where do I have it here? So we've created now, we've started where you can actually go to
Factions.
Yeah.
Levana.finance. And I just wanted to add, so you have those 4 factions. So in addition to every time you nest an egg, you get a random talisman assigned to you, which could be one of the 4 factions, right? Or it could be a premier. So in addition to that, we also airdropped to 5,500 Galactic Punk holders. We airdropped them Punk talismans. So they look slightly different. They're the pixelated Galactic Punk version of our normal talismans, to invite the Galactic Punks community to join our community and fight for their faction and join the war. So we've had really great engagement from them and interest. And we've got a lot of new Galactic Punk users and members in our community. So that's been really fun. And we're happy to, have them join us. And I think that really leads itself to, the story of what are we going to do with these NFTs as a community on Terra? What are we going to build from that? What's possible to build in the NFT space? So you see a lot of NFT projects that, launched really strong in September and October, and now they're sort of, I'm not going to say they're sort of.
I'll say it for you. They seem dead.
Yeah. Okay. They're in a sleep period, a frozen period. Nothing's really happening with them. And so, I think if you look at projects like Levana and others, so we continued to evolve. That was part of the whole design of our evolutionary NFTs, right? And also that there's a story at the end, and we're built on, a DeFi protocol, and there's stuff to do versus just buying, a PFP and sticking it in your wallet. What happens to it afterwards, right? And where's the continuity, and where's the, where are the builders, and where's the organization behind it? So, it's not just about the fact that the technicals, behind our NFTs are different, or that they're evolutionary NFTs, or that they're, rotating gifts, but rather what is behind Levana and where are we going with this? And I think that's the story that's really, in addition to the beautiful dragon eyes and the incredible art and the fun, is also, people want to see that there's continuity and that there's a continuation to the story, and that there's something to do here on a constant basis.
So just to reiterate what you said, you're basically saying, well, of course, the NFTs, they're constantly evolving, and you can tell by the artwork from the dust to the eggs to even the dragons, that you actually care about the project and the NFTs, and especially constantly having AMAs like this. This isn't the first one you guys have done. You guys have already done one other one with me, and there's several other YouTube channels doing these AMAs, so you actually care about it. But with the factions itself, or the talisman, I guess you can say, I remember you kind of going over them. So really in specific, there is nothing saying like, hey, this faction or this talisman is better than this talisman, or this talisman is better than this talisman. Would you say a good example of this is like Harry Potter, where they have, I don't even remember what they're called anymore. But like
Gryffindor,
yeah, Gryffindor. Yeah. Oh,
right,
yeah,
we have Slytherin, which is the council. Right. Yeah, we've got. I mean, look, it's we're very much inspired by a lot of our favorite works. So, if you peel away the hood, we have Slytherin, and then we have Hufflepuff, we have Ravenclaw, and then what's it called?
I need to get Gryffindor, man.
Then
I
we
got
have
Hufflepuff.
Yeah, and
right. So, I think the important part of that is the whole idea behind the talismans and the faction wars is really that in order to unite a community and to get them excited about a project, I think people need to feel like they're part of a slightly smaller group than the big, large Levana universe, right? When we had the meteor showers, that was really fun. And people sort of congregated into smaller groups. I'm going after the ancients. I'm going after the rares. I'm in the commons, you know, and the legendary whales were kind of over there. And I think you saw from that, and we definitely saw from that, that community likes to gather, right? The same way that many people today are work from home, and yet they lament like, gosh, I kind of miss the water cooler. Like I miss going to the office and having coffee with people, right? Like whoever thought that 2 years into, you know, a plague that people would be lamenting not going to the office. And yet I hear that all the time. People are like, I kind of just miss getting together with people and talking about stuff. And so giving everyone a common interest, right, and something to fight for and something to believe in is really kind of fun. I mean, look at the houses in Harry Potter. It's a great example, right? You are whatever you're going to be. You know, you're the person that you are, and yet there are certain things that will call to you, whereas they won't call to somebody else. I was having a conversation with somebody recently who said, you know, I looked at those eggs 2 months ago and they were 1 Luna. And I thought, I'm not going to spend a Luna on an egg, 1 Luna on an egg. And today those eggs are 20 Luna. And they said, and they're so beautiful. And it almost like changed my whole perception of your project, because I saw the baby dragons that would come out of them, and I got assigned to a house. She called it a house, right? And I loved it. Like I felt, you know, like it was a part of me. She happened to be assigned to Terra. That's really it's a cool association. And I'm a free Martian. And I felt that way from the beginning. I didn't get a free Martian in the nesting process. I got others, and I sold them, and I had to buy a free Martian for myself, because to me, that's the faction that speaks to me. So it's the same way with the eggs. I think it'll be the same way with the baby dragons. I think it's important to, you know, buy things that you love, that you relate to, that you feel connected with. And that's what makes this space really fun and entertaining and enjoyable. You know, there has to be, I recognize that, you know, people are here for the cash, or they're here for the tokens, or they're here for the, you know, the 10x or the 100x. But I think they're also here because they love the process and they love the game that's happening all around that experience.
I agree. I always tell people who are just coming here to make like $1 million or $2 million, and I always say, okay, then ask yourself, after you get the $2 million, then what? I hope you didn't burn any bridges or destroy any friends in the process of doing that, because great, you're a millionaire or a 2 millionaire, whatever, or even a billionaire. But how fun is it to be a billionaire if you're just lonely? I mean, I would much rather be a poor person and be able to have someone I can come home and say, I love you, and have that echo back say, I love you too, honey. That's what I like.
Well,
Right.
that's, you know, it's you say, who is rich? The person that's happy with their lot.
It's true.
Right.
I just tweeted about this verse. A meal with vegetables is better than I can't remember. It was a loving meal. It's Proverbs 15:17. It's a loving meal with vegetables is much better than a meal with a fattened calf. I'll make it the wisdom one-liner at the end of this video, so that way we can get that one.
So we wanted to give each of the factions like a strong personality. So we've come out so far with 3 different videos. We're still working on the Terran video, but I wanted to show them. I know that you've seen them, but some of your users may not have seen them. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to kind of run through these. It'll take us a couple minutes. They're about a minute each.
Please do.
Terrans everywhere are invited to join the Martian Council for an otherworldly experience like nothing on Earth. Welcome to Mars. Join the millions of Terrans who have found a new life on our red sister planet, in brand new housing facilities spanning over 500 square kilometers within the state-of-the-art fully enclosed Martian colony. Spend your days in our luxurious spas, far from the stress and pollution of Earth. Relax in the evening in our spacious living suites. With terraforming greenhouses and innovative farming methods, we have been able to transform the harsh Martian surface into a blooming utopia. And our scientists have developed new methods of extracting Mars's most precious resource, the powerful lunar orbs. Here on Mars, the Martian Council is leading the development for the future of science and technology for humanity, bringing us into the next stage of Terran life. Join us today to help bridge the gap between humanity's past and Mars's future.
That's a pretty good hype video.
So this is the
Now you
council.
want to join the council.
Yeah, no, well, I think it got Hufflepuff, man. I got to go buy Gryffindor, man. I got to be on Harry Potter's team.
Well, that's
So,
the
okay, here's
council.
the
That's the
Guardians.
Guardians.
Ooh, I'm
It's,
getting
you know,
Guardians
actually,
right
there's
there.
a big
That was
debate
Slytherin,
internally.
right?
There's a big debate. Yeah, what we just saw was like the Slytherins. There's a big debate as to who, you know, Gryffindor is. But we'll leave that, you know, for the viewers to make their own decision. I don't want to influence. But so this is the Guardians.
Do I love my job? Of course I love my job. I was born in Goshen, a little colony outside of the capital. I lost my brother and cousin in the spider attack of 2460. I've wanted to be a Guardian ever since.
Am I proud to be a Guardian? Of course I am. When I look out at the sunrise, I see our future. She really is a beautiful planet. And I'm proud to protect our people.
I've been a Guardian Premier for the past 2 years. I have a good job. I have a great team. Look, it's clear that Mars is changing. The Council doesn't represent the people anymore. It's time for the Guardians to take their rightful place.
The Council says the last Guardian Premier was killed in a dragon attack launched by the Free Martians. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I don't believe it for a second. The Council is afraid the Guardians are getting too powerful. Well, I think it's time we make a stand. Now that the dragons are here, it's time for you to decide. Are you with us or against us?
I don't know who that would be. I guess it could be Gryffindor.
So that's that's the Guardians. And so then now this is the one we just released this week. So unfortunately, the Terrans, you know, they get the short end of the stick. So we'll be releasing their video next week. But this one, yeah, I think this one has gotten the best feedback so far.
There's a story that the Free Martians tell. It's only told around the fire. The story of our people. A story the Council forbids anyone from hearing. The true history of Mars. And what lies beneath it. We came here from Terra, riding in the belly of giant dragons. But we were not the first to come to this planet. Deep below the surface of Mars, if you know where to look, you can find them. But soon, you won't need to search for them. Because now, the dragons are coming for you.
That one's pretty good. I like that one.
In the end, everyone joins the Free Martians. What can I say?
Yeah, I think I'm joining the Free Martian.
Yay!
It's pretty good, man. I'm selling mine.
Well,
That
it's
was the
just,
whole
you know,
point of this call.
we're pulling on a lot of very classic and old narrative building techniques. You know, we like there's so much of it. You know, why is it that you know, Harry Potter is successful? Why is it that Star Wars is successful? You know, it's they say like, you know, Shakespeare wrote 39 plays, and there's only been 39 plays that have ever been written since. It's just, you know, like the King Solomon said that there's nothing new under the sun. So
So true,
there's
man.
there's so many ways when you want to capture the attention and just the heart of a populace. You don't need necessarily to to travel into unknown territories. You have to look through your childhood. You have to look through the things that were meaningful to you, and that's what we've kind of brought together with this project, to make something that's new but yet feels very familiar.
I wanted to add that, between the lore team, the product team, the designers, even the developers, we're all essentially, sci-fi geeks and nerds that spend our time and our free time either, reading, playing, exploring, developing. And so for us, we're passionate about this, not because, we're trying to sell something, but rather because this is something that we love, right? It's so native to us. We can have hour-long conversations about, what the identity of someone or something should be, because we're all in it. Like, we all live it. These dragons are our companions already, right? And these characters are very much a part of the company's lore, right? And our vision. And so when you're that passionate about it, I think, what happens when we all come together is that it can only be successful. There's no other path, because everybody sees the excitement and they see how we feel about it and they see how personally we take it. And, like you said, there's a lot of love there, and there's, deep emotion here, because we all do feel really passionate about the project.
I agree. We call it the nerd herd.
So I want to pause for a second and just kind of ask the question of why. Like, why are we building all of this? Like, we saw before, you can, most projects, they'll just perform some type of an NFT drop. They'll do some type of a hype. Most projects have kind of the same methodology. You get 40,000 people to be excited. You do a lot of direct marketing, a lot of cold marketing, just which is many times also known as spamming people. Hey, come to my Discord. I'm sure you get it all the time. I probably got 30 of them since we were on this podcast. So you get about 40,000 people into your Discord. You whitelist about 10 to 20% of them. You get everybody hyped up. You have the mint occur. You allow the primary market to kind of dump onto the secondary market. You use the funds that were generated in the primary market to you hold back some NFTs for yourself. You use the initial funds to do a secondary marketing campaign to create your wave 3. The first wave was the people on the whitelist. The second wave was the general audience, the public minting, which is comprised of the entire 40,000 people within the Discord. And then you do an external marketing campaign, bleeding through a percentage of those funds, which then brings in a massive audience into the uphill swing of the price action of the NFTs. And then you essentially just exit scam. And that is what thousands, that's the methodology that thousands of NFT projects have gone through. And it's where you end up with, the first, whether if you were Gen 1, you were Gen 2, you were Gen 3, you sold, then you got, 10x gains. But at the end of the day, the project isn't really designed for any purpose other than to just be a collectible and a money grab. So the purpose behind Levana is to build something fantastic. Our goal is to build something that we call DeFi-tainment, which is very much inspired by DeFi Kingdom, which you've done a great job of explaining many things about DeFi Kingdom, and I know you're very active within that community. And what we've done here is, we're building Levana stands for Leverage Any Asset. And we're building a series of tools, marketplaces, which are more advanced than an AMM, an automated market maker. So if you go to pretty much every play to earn gaming experience that's in the market today, it's all based on an automated market maker, which is originally came to popularity through Uniswap, but it becomes the base model for yield generation for pretty much every play to earn experience that has some type of farming elements to it. So that could be that could be like in the marketplaces for Love Potion on Axie. It could be in the seeds in DeFi Kingdom, and there's plenty of other examples within the space. Now, AMMs themselves, as a technology, have a number of limitations and challenges from a technical perspective. It's probably beyond the scope of this conversation to get into all of them, but one of the things is that they don't settle. They require two-sided liquidity, meaning that and they require liquidity where you have to be directionally exposed to the assets that you are providing liquidity for. So if I want to farm, Jewel in one, then I need to own Jewel. I need to own one. I can put that into the AMM, and then I can earn more Jewel out of that. But if there's a significant price change of either one of those assets, the Jewel or the one, so then I'm going to suffer impermanent loss, which means that my position is constantly selling from the stronger asset into the weaker asset. And in order to farm, I need to be directionally exposed to the price action of both of those assets. I apologize if I'm getting too much into the weeds, but a perpetual swap is from a technical perspective, it has just single-sided liquidity, meaning that you farm just by depositing one token, and that token is a stable coin, so you're never exposed to any market movements, you're never exposed to impermanent loss. And because it's all synthetic exposure, meaning you don't need tokens to actually be minted on the specific blockchain that you're using. So it means that game designers can produce a much broader set of assets that can actually be integrated very intimately within a gaming experience. So we, a huge part of our team is a bunch of finance bros and have built exchanges and things on Wall Street in the past. And we're building a rather complex financial tool, which is very flexible, this perpetual swap exchange. And what we're excited about with DeFi-tainment is to bring this complicated tool, which may not be palatable to a massive audience, to bring it to a massive audience through gaming. And so the too long didn't read here is that entertainment and gamification is a powerful tool to educate and onboard a massive audience to DeFi. DeFi is too complicated for casual users. Most participants in crypto are entering via entertainment. And just to put this in perspective, in the last year, or roughly 2 years, we've had about 250,000 people enter into purely DeFi. While during that same time, we've had about 17 million people enter into crypto. So if they're not going into DeFi, where are they going into? They're going into the entertainment sector. So that could be just in meme coins, that could be in NFTs, that could be in blockchain gaming or GameFi. So if you really want to be able to capture, and this kind of shows you is that even looking at May, where we're not even most of the DeFi tokens in the market are down 70-80% off of their highs.
We call it wrecked.
Yeah, they're totally wrecked. But if you look at Axie and DeFi Kingdom, they're rocking out. So why is it that they're rocking out? Because they recognize that you have to create something fun, and it might be as just fun as like Elon Musk riding a dog farting. What is that? Farting a rainbow of I don't even know what I'm looking at here, to be honest. But so we've created an entry point to the perpetual swap exchange that we're building through this strong emphasis of narrative, which we showed in here. It's the whole story of the dragons, which is a metaphor for crypto and a metaphor for trading, eats the Luna tokens, then gets superpowers, and then thus creating the first dragon rider. So we welcome you as the player to become a dragon rider. Now, building a game like this takes a long time. So we've started the process. We started the process in December, but realistically, the magnum opus game that we're excited to bring to market is gonna be first showcased towards the end of this year. But in the meantime, we're launching unique gamified NFT experiences which merge the world of DeFi and NFTs to allow people to level up to gain what we would call, I guess, experience points. We call them your spirit level. And what we're really trying to nail this problem, which is like the rotator problem.
Yeah.
That every new DeFi product that comes to market has this, where you target the same 10,000 users of that are native to Web3. They don't care about your DeFi app. They just want the farm. They come when the farming is high. That they're not interested in joining the DAO or participating. Then after the initial interest wanes, they just dump into an AMM, and you get a chart like this. So what we've realized, and they're all about high yield. That's the only thing that they care about. So now, if you build for the entertainment sector and you market to a wide audience of Web2 gamers, and then you create a gaming experience with a marketplace where, as the people level up within the game through their avatars and through their NFTs and through gameplay and through questing and through their guilds, so then you introduce them to more and more complex elements of DeFi, including how to trade on things like perpetual swaps, and how to take leverage positions or how to take short positions, how to use some native assets, DeFi assets on Terra, like Mirror and Anchor and Apollo and some of these other more advanced things, Prism. So then you reward them through playing by their farming rewards, which is in our case the LVN token, which is our governance token, and then instead of giving them the choice of either put this in the DAO or dump it on an AMM, they can actually use it to purchase NFTs, to unlock, to level up, to unlock new quests, and they can trade within the marketplace. So the marketplace creates additional revenue stream, and then the perps, the revenue stream from the perps and from the farming then flows into the game in the form of the gaming rewards. Now this creates a deflationary token pressure, which then hopefully relieves creates a closed loop system that solves the problem that we're all too familiar with the traditional DeFi governance token. So this is kind of like how to answer the question of, well, we see that you guys are a DeFi protocol. We see what you're building here. Like, what the heck are you doing with NFTs and dragons? And we're really trying to solve the biggest problem that we think that there is in the market, is that it's almost impossible to take a no coiner and to bring them and onboard them in a reasonable amount of time. But when you get somebody into NFTs, then it's very easy for them to understand. It's very easy for them to understand the value. And we all grew up collecting. We all grew up, or at least if you're my age, like playing with the Tamagotchi, and like collecting a Beanie Baby or baseball cards, or I collected pennies. I was, a little off, but
the Lincolns.
Yeah, the
Wheats?
Lincoln.
Yeah, 1909 VDBS, right?
Yeah, and especially like the Warriors, when they were magnetic.
The Warriors. Oh, the Indians, the Steel Sense, 1943.
Yeah.
I'm a penny.
Exactly.
I'm a coin collector. I'm a numismaticist.
Look at that is, we got birds and we have pennies. I can't make this up. But
really so left out over here. All right, it's okay.
Dude,
yeah,
you need to collect some coins. Get a bird.
Exactly.
Never getting a bird.
Oh, dude.
And so we've, is there anything else, Mimi, that you wanted to showcase? We've also put together this great primer. So if you're just listening to this and you're interested in what we're doing and you want to understand how to get involved and just how to, better learn about Levana, I would definitely start with the Great Levana Primer. It kind of shows you our whole history of how the meteor shower worked, of the evolution of the meteors, how the meteors can become eggs or dust, and how this is used for crafting and then for creating baby dragons, and then how there's the different tiers: common, rare, and ancient, and then obviously the legendary, and then the what does it mean, like what's the core DeFi protocol underneath it, and why we think that that's a game changer for the entire play to earn space. What's the story, of what happened in Mars, who are these people, the Council, the Guardians, the Terrans, and the Free Martians? What do the dragons have to do with it? Why is community important? And then leading into the faction wars, and the faction wars will lead directly up to the token launch for the governance token LVN for the Levana protocol. So if you're into Terra, and if you're not into Terra, first of all, you should be into Terra, because Terra is by far the most important blockchain in the entire space. What's happening in Terra? What's happening in Terra? With like stable coins are the killer use case. It's how we're going to onboard 8 billion people, is through having stable coins that are a 10x above the traditional financial markets. And stable coins can be created 3 ways. They can be banker coins, where you just have banks issue tokens. So that's like Circle at USDC and Tether at USDT. But those are completely centralized. They are limited by censorship. They could be there's no way to verify if they actually are backed by what they say they are. And your account can just be banned. You can just be canceled, and all of your money can just be stolen from you, even if it's in your wallet, because they can just blacklist your address, and that's happened to people before. So the second way to make stable coins is through over collateralization of native crypto assets. So that's like DAI or RAI or Fee, and then and the problem with those is that today they're primarily backed by banker coins, so they're not even decentralized. And then the second thing is that they're not capital efficient, so they can't scale to a global audience. It's like you're making something that is going to be capped at a few tens of millions of people using it. And then the only other way to make stable coins is algorithmically. And now there's been many attempts on Ethereum and on other blockchains to create algorithmic stablecoins, but they that if you really look at the math and you peel it under the hood, the only way to create an algorithmic stablecoin is on an application specific blockchain, where the validators or verifiers of that blockchain are compensated in stablecoins, because then you create the positive incentivization, where the monetization of a rational actor that's providing security to the network is directly correlated to the success of the stablecoin itself.
So, AKA more use cases for the stable.
Yes, and well, it's more security for the stable, and it can actually scale, because the more popular that it is, the more arbitrage opportunities there are, and the more fees that are collected to be able to help secure the network. So it's a positive reinforcement loop. And so the only algorithmic stablecoin that has any level of success in the market is on Terra, which was created by Do Kwon to solve exactly this problem. And so we've I'm full disclosure, I'm a board member at the Luna Foundation Guard, which is a massively funded organization that's focused on bringing censorship-resistant, trustless stablecoins to a massive audience through Terra. And so, you can say I'm not an impartial, member, but I was brought in as a board member because I really believe it. I really believe that this is the way to create financial equality on a global landscape. And so, what our goal at Levana is to build the most popular use case for UST, because UST is what collateralizes what is the backing for all of the positions that will be used in our perpetual swap and in our play to earn experience.
I kind of want to go back to that perpetual swap. From what I'm understanding, what you're saying, do you know about Thorchain?
I do know about Thorchain. Yep.
Okay, so is that what you're trying to do with the pools? Basically, have everything paired with the UST to create deeper liquidity. Now, what I mean by this is if you pair like USDC to Ethereum, and then you pair like, I don't know, let's just give an example of DAI and Bitcoin. Yeah, DAI and Bitcoin and ETH and USDC. Those pools cannot communicate because there's no order route to go through. But if you pair everything with UST, that means you're always going to have that stable coin route to go through. So if you're trying to trade an armor with like a helmet or whatever. We're just giving examples like for your game. You'll be able to do that with UST. Is that what I'm understanding you're trying to do? No, I mean obviously not like helmets and armor, but
that
like,
will, yes, that will. What you're saying is absolutely true, and that will be implemented. But it's even it gets a little bit more subtle than that. Is that you can with perpetual swaps, you create synthetic versions of any asset. So meaning that if you had gold in the game, the gold could actually represent something like a futures
right, like
contract.
synthetics, like on synthetics platform. You, in order to mint any of those assets, you have to burn. Well, not mint any of those assets, but you burn SNX in order to mint SUSD, which SUSD then trades against all these different pairs like gold, silver, whatever, all these different pairs inside the synthetics platform, and it's literally it's zero slippage.
It's limitless, because adding new assets doesn't mean that that you have to bring in more liquidity.
Right.
You know, one of the problems with an existing AMM is launching a new market. So in a game, if you wanted to add a new, imagine that you have a game and it's actually a breakout success and you have 1 million people. So now if you wanted to add new assets to it, so now again, it's like, you gave the example, you know, you want to put $1 million, and again, this is going through the AMM example, but this is, you know, for sake of simplicity, we'll continue with that in place. But if you wanted to have, let's say 1 million swords, and then 1 million swords that would be tradable, so then you need to pair that with, and you want it, and they cost, a sword costs $1, let's say. So then you need to pair that with 1 million UST. And so now that could exist within an AMM. Now, if you then wanted to have 1 million shields, and then you wanted to have them traded with, you know, with $1 each, you need a second $1 million, because you still need to create that liquidity. So now, why were there $2 million in there? That's capitally inefficient. There was no need for that. It's just money sitting there doing nothing. And so there's huge redundancy. So all of that money, and then when it comes to fees, you have to distribute the fees, meaning you know, the people that provide the liquidity, they need to be rewarded for providing it. So so half of what is of the assets that are provided are just sitting there completely unnecessarily, not providing economic activity, but yet receiving emissions, and that creates an inefficiency, and that creates scalability issues. And you also get wrecked if now the price of, you know, shield skyrockets, and then you were a liquidity provider there, and then most of your shields end up just getting eaten away, and now you end up with a bucket full of stable coins, and that's impermanent loss. And anybody who's been a market maker for an asset that is, I'm sure a lot of the people you know, that have been around since you know, since Joule skyrocketed, or before it skyrocketed, they experienced impermanent loss, where they would have just had better returns if they had just not been a market maker at all. But again, it is, you know, what we're looking at is, how do you build something that's scalable? How do you build something that's fun? How do you build something that's a game that can stand on its own, you know, feet, that it's beautiful, that it's got a strong narrative, that it's a metaphor for a fight that we're all having. I mean, it's not just nothing that we decided, okay, there's going to be these, you know, evil, you know, people that control us, that tell us what to do, tell us what we put in our bodies, you know, tell us when we wake up in the morning, and you know, and they control our money, and they control how much food we have, and what we eat, and what's put into the food, you know. And then there was you know, there's just like the hard workers that are like out there just like busting their butt every day, that are basically being exploited. And then we have, you know, the people that are you know, that took the red pill, and are saying to themselves, like, no, like, we have to cause change. This is what's happening isn't right. And then there's the people that were part of the old guard that are today waking up, saying, you know what, maybe the Kool-Aid isn't as you know, as harmless as we think it is. So the fight within the faction wars is a metaphor for the fight that's happening today in the real world. That is the driving force behind why crypto is the most important industry that exist today. Why this is going to, we're going to look back 100 years from now and say, how did we get the society that we have today? It was because of the invention of Bitcoin and everything that happened because of that. And so we're excited to help tell that story and help bring on the next 100 million, the next billion people into the industry. And we think that the best way to do that is through an awesome gaming experience.
I agree. And it also creates more sustainability in this fact that people are willing to pay for entertainment. Just like you pay to go to see a movie, you didn't get anything out of that. You literally just got a piece of entertainment. That's it. So creating a model with entertainment can create more of a sustainability. Now, I'm not saying it's going to make it successful, but we've seen examples in the past, like people still go to movies and people will still watch the same movie. Like, how many times have you watched Spider-Man? People still do it. I mean, no matter how many. Oh,
I will
they're going to
watch
show the original
Spider-Man
Spider-Man again in the movies. I must pay to go see it. Okay.
Well, you know what? It's some things like I will watch Peter Parker get bit by that spider another 15 times. I'm sure. I'm sure of it, because it's just such a great story.
It just brings back like comfy feelings.
Right. But I also think, people ask us all the time, so when does the game start? And we constantly say to them, well, we're in the middle of the game. Like there's the big game, right, that we hope to deliver a year from now. But the game started weeks before the first meteor shower, when people had, we had this channel in the Discord that talked about meteor strategy, right? And there were thousands and thousands of messages in there of people designing and creating their meteor strategy. And then as soon as the meteor showers were over, and let's remember, that was 6,400 wallets involved over 44 straight hours. It was the largest mint ever in Terra. And many of those people are still with us months later, right? And I think that is like the encouraging part, and the really exciting part is that when you think about the excitement and the entertainment value that's happening, every day on Discord, when we see that 2,000 people are online and engaging, and there's hundreds and hundreds of messages every day. Just, we didn't drop anything today, right? We didn't have an NFT evolution, and yet every day there's people actively engaging and helping one another and building communities and building out their factions. We heard today, actually, Johnathan and I were on a call. We heard that the council actually has secret council robes that they have created. You can order them now. And they've built their own treasury. I mean, all sorts of stuff is happening right offline we love it. We absolutely love how engaged the community is and how much they've leaned into the story and how excited they are to fulfill their destiny.
That's fun.
It's fun.
That's amazing.
And I think that it truly speaks to that entertainment aspect, like you mentioned, of how many times can you watch Spider-Man, right? So how many times have people said that they've read the lore and they've reread the lore and they've gone back and they've watched all the videos, and it's already becoming nostalgic. It's only 7 months.
Yeah, and here was when we introduced Salim. So this was it's just great to see. What we did is we built a whole world. We built a trilogy. Roughly 1,000 pages. We'll be publishing the first book, which will be about 350 pages this year. We're working on the comic book. We hope to have the comic book of the of book one out by the end of the year. We'll be releasing it all as NFTs. But you can even just follow and learn more about it. And what Salim's second mini game will be coming to market. And it'll actually be a choose your own adventure game on the Discord. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I actually sat for way too long playing that and just kind of getting stuck down the rabbit hole. And then we've got, another type. It's about going back to nostalgia. It's about going back to like our roots of like, what were the things that like captured that essence of when reality was just like a simpler reality. So, we'll be releasing a series of mini games that will all be play to earn. That you will all you have to do is you need to own a Levana NFT to play. You need to have it in your wallet. You need to play the game, and then when the epoch ends, we take a snapshot. And if you still have your Levana NFT, then you'll get airdropped a new Levana NFT. which is to date has been dust, but in the future it might be other things. And we're, and then there's even the randomness there that it could be a very rare type of dust. And the stories here, which I'm flipping through, there's a lot of hidden stuff in these stories. So we were very meticulous. Zahava is our hero figure. She's come to inadvertently be put into this kind of like role where it's her responsibility to be able to save Mars. Salim plays the character. If you saw Lord of the Rings, like similar to Sam, and to her Frodo. And it's just it's a fun story that that again it feels new but yet familiar, and so we're really excited to share it with people as we bring it to market.
All right, so is that if you want, we can segue into some of the community questions, unless you and Mimi have additional information you guys would like to share and cover.
No, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I think we dropped a lot of alpha. So
you guys actually did. I'm uber bullish, and I just know I need to get out of Hufflepuff and find Gryffindor. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, one of the biggest ones, you guys have already talked about it. What current game will be like the closest example of it? Some people are saying, is it going to be like StarCraft, League of Legends, Clash of Clans?
Yeah, Clash of Clans is a big inspiration because it's mobile friendly. It's very familiar. We can easily, not easily, but we can map it to different the factions that we've created and the story that we've created, and we can create kind of these bases that then have assets, and you have to kind of leave your base, which then reduces your defense in order to be able to get resources. So there's resource management. You can house dragons inside of your base, and so we've got a really top-notch game designer that is aggressively designing the game, and it's going to go through iterations, and it's going to go through beta testing, alpha testing, and beta testing, and community feedback, and things like that. We're actually we're looking shortly after the airdrop of our token and the launch of our DeFi protocol, which is scheduled for about 6 weeks from now. The airdrop will be sooner, obviously, and everybody that's participating in all of the experiences that we've created, they will be getting the airdrops. We're also differentiating ourselves from historically, many of the Terra projects, which airdropped to Luna stakers. So, Flipside Crypto, which is an analytics company that we work very closely with, they gave a report that showed that the airdrops to Luna stakers they're just dumpers. There's no
dumpers don't even claim them. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like I think it was on it's like less than half get claimed, and then of them that do get claimed, it's like over 70% of them just dump, which means that you only end up with like 15%. All those tokens that you distributed, only 15% of them actually go to the community members that just care about what you're building. So instead of doing that, we know the community members that care about what we are doing, so they will be the recipients of the tokens. And that's part of what we're creating, this complex self-selecting process where if you are aligned with our vision, then you actually get an opportunity to carve out the path that vision takes. And that's the whole point of a governance token. And then the most exciting thing that I'm that like will be totally experimental within governance is now that you've got a whole audience that owns your governance token, but they also own, at least, or many of them will own these NFTs. So now we get to really push the envelope forward as to how can NFTs play a practical role in community governance. And so we've opened this up for conversation within the Discord, and the ideas that have been generated by the community have just been amazing. So we're very excited to see proposals and votes around these types of more complicated integrations between the different assets that we've produced. And we think that there's a lot of really exciting opportunities for experimentation and for innovation.
Okay, so like a Clash of Clans, that's definitely going to be interesting. That's the type of game that I like. I like the strategy. It gets my nerd glands going.
I mean, I grew up on the original Warcraft, and then Warcraft 2, and then Age of Empires and Age of Empires 2. Warcraft 3 is where I kind of lost it because it was too zoomed in. But I love real-time strategy.
I was the Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 type of guy in RuneScape. That was me.
Those are great as well. I was I was like on Myst and Legend of Zelda by that time.
There we go. All right, so I want to segue into the Premier Talisman. A lot of people are talking about that one. They're specifically asking what determines if your egg has the Premier Talisman.
So that's a really great question, and the answer is nothing. So, and I think that that's an important call out, is that there are common eggs that have premieres and there are legendary eggs that have premieres, and it was totally a randomized distribution. And the reason that we did that is because we really truly wanted to give the community, every part of the community, a chance to take a leadership role and see how that would play out. And again, sometimes we experiment and we get things 100% right. Sometimes we get them 60% right. And other times we probably fail miserably. This was an experiment. We had no idea how it was going to play out. It was interesting to us that the minute that the nesting opened and people got these talisman and they realized that there were, I think it took about 8 hours. They realized that there was a lower percentage of premieres than others, and they glowed a little bit more. We started to see the price skyrocket. We started to see certain wallets pick them up really quickly and then start hoarding them. So it's been a really interesting experiment for us. I've gotten the most wonderful DMs from people who got into our meteor shower with an 8 UST common meteor that cracked into an egg that ended up with a Premier Talisman, and it changed their life.
Let's go.
They sold it for 100 Luna. They said, "You've changed my life. Like, I've never won anything before. And this is absolute financial freedom for me and my family." It's lovely. It's really great to see, what is possible. So yeah, there's no hidden API. There's no secret meta. It's not, a number combination. It's not, some number combination that equals my favorite number or my birthday. It's just luck.
Well, the secret is buy all the eggs. That's it. That's all you got to do. Then you're solid. You're good. All right, so we kind of went over some of the customization of like the eyes, but what are going to be some other ones? Like, we already know that the gems and dust like equal the eye color, and like ruby equals red, and so on. Like, what traits are we going to be able to modify? You guys just hinted at eyes here, but are there going to be other traits that we can modify, and are they all going to be aesthetic, or will they have some utility?
So that is a great question. I will tell you that there is a major customization that is absolutely going to affect everything about your dragon. I can't tell you more than that right now, but I will say that I think people's minds are going to explode a little bit here, and you're going to have to wait for the alpha drop on that. But it's a lot more than just, what color are the breastplates, or, do I have like a diamond on the dragon's head? So it's pretty big. It's pretty monumental.
Okay, 10-4. All right, so some people are also asking, is I got a bunch of dragons. Can I play with more than just one, or am I just like locked into one dragon? Like, some people want to be one dragon one day, and the next they want to be a different one.
You will be able to interact with multiple dragons. Whether you'll be able to do that at one time is to be decided. But what you will be able to do is lend out your dragons to others. So you'll be able to allow your friends to play, and there will be a couple different models for that. There will be where you could just lend it out trustlessly, and somebody else could play and do an adventure with it, and that will level up. Somebody could rent it from you, and then they would pay you to borrow it for a certain amount of time, and then any of the rewards that they got by playing with the dragon could be would be their own. They would take home the rewards, or you could also hire somebody to go out and to defeat a certain quest or complete a quest, and then you could get the rewards. And then we're at a point of request for comment in terms of scholarship. That this is the Levana scholarship program. So we're getting feedback from the community as to what are the features that they want within a scholarship program, to ensure that the people that have, because we've heard from a lot of people, look, I have 10 dragon eggs. I'm going to have 10 dragons. I don't have time to like beat a quest with every dragon. What can I do? Because I want to level up all my dragons. So we've, created these different, it's none of it is in production today, but we have created in the gameplay these different types of concepts, which I think it has a lot of potential for a lot of fun for groups.
That's pretty cool. So
I just want to add to that, if I can, because a lot of people have asked the same question about, can I have more than one dragon per talisman? Should I divide up my wallets and have, if I have different talisman for different factions, should I join all the factions if I have 4 talisman, etc.? So I just want to speak to that for a second. So the first thing is, you can absolutely have multiple dragons in a wallet with 1 talisman, join a faction and have all of your dragons, fight for that faction. The second question that's come to me a lot is, well, I have, 1 or 2 or 4 talisman. Can I have 4 wallets and can I join all the factions? So I would say to that, you could definitely do that. The issue is that you're essentially fighting against yourself, right? Like people have said, well, I want to hedge my bets and I want the best rewards, to come to me depending, no matter which faction I'm in. I want to, gain the rewards of every faction. Well, your faction isn't going to have a better chance of winning though if you're fighting against yourself, right? So you have to kind of think about, there is game theory here, and there is, a point to the points that you'll get individually and then what you'll contribute to your faction. So my suggestion on that would be pick a faction, put all your dragons into that faction, and fight for your faction with everything you've got.
Okay. So is there going to be someone keeping points of this, or is this just like, okay, this faction is winning for this one? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like in Harry Potter, they were able to like keep points. So I was just wondering.
You're going to see a totally different faction war interface as soon as the faction war is open.
Oh.
And yeah, it's going to be a totally different experience that you haven't seen until now on the blockchain in this kind of environment. I think it's going to be really fun and challenging, and there's going to be something to do every day.
That'll be sweet. No.
Maybe is it totally inappropriate to show the Figma?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Dude, why are you supposed to ask? You're supposed to just show it and then take the ramifications later. I mean, come on.
No, and yes, totally inappropriate.
All right, so I kind of want to go back to the nesting where I remember Mimi telling me about that, to nest the dragon. But I guess the biggest thing to talk about is some people are speculating that the eggs will be worth more if you don't nest with them because there's going to be a less amount, and others would argue no, that would not be the case. But I mean, it's just different here and there. But back to the nesting itself, I know right now your egg literally goes, it has like the little aurora of dust around it, so it looks like it's mythic or whatever. It just looks fancy. But what would happen to the nesting phase if we're already into dragons and someone with an egg finally is like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and nest my dragon? Will they not go through that stage? Will it immediately become a dragon? Or
totally not.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. That was it.
Okay, so I want to say 2 things, which is, we designed this game again to be evolutionary, and each of these assets to be evolutionary. And obviously, I can't tell you, we're going to cut off the cracking or we're going to cut off the nesting, and you won't be able to do those things because our intention is to keep them open. having said that, unevolved assets are unevolved, and they don't really represent joining the game. They sort of represent, you know, a hold strategy and not the strategy
an unopened pack of Pokemon cards. It's like, or, you know, it's a, or, you know, it's an unwrapped present. I mean, it's, you know, you can have it as a collector item, but you can't play, you know, if you don't open the box, you can't play the game.
That's true.
So again, the stations will stay open. Our intention isn't to close them. Somebody recently on the Discord asked, well, what about in 5 years from now? And I was like, 5 years from now, that's essentially like, you know, 500 years from now in crypto time, right?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know what's going to be in 5 months, but let's go with 5 years. I said, my intention is to keep them open. So let's imagine that they stay open. And yes, you will still have to nest your egg. And then if you want to, you can do genetic modifications, and then you'll need to hatch. We have no intention of ever forcing an evolution. We're not going to force an evolution. It's not going to be like, oh, you know, you didn't hatch your egg in time and it turned into goo or solidified and became, you know, an amber egg of a dinosaur or something. Like, that's not happening. So
we do get a lot of requests from people to
kind of
collect their eggs.
I kind of want some amber eggs.
Like, I want to make a dragon omelet or weird things. No.
Some amber eggs actually sound really cool. Like,
no dragon.
I would buy some amber eggs.
Would you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually would buy some amber eggs because, I'm the guy. I'm like I just mentioned to Johnathan earlier. I'm a numismatist. I collect that junk. I like old stuff. So it's one of those things.
All right, I'll tell you what. Here's a great idea, Drake. You can take a picture of the old meteorites and download it onto your computer.
Dude, that's a really good idea. That's brilliant.
And keep that, and you can collect that, okay? But play the game. Crack your meteors. See what you got. Like, unleash the eggs. These are dragons. Like, play the game.
Yeah, no, I did. I told you I'm Hufflepuff. I don't even remember what the right name of the talisman is now. This is pretty bad.
Terran, you're a Terran.
The Terran, yeah. I'm either the Gardener or a Hufflepuff. Like, I don't remember what the actual names is. It's really bad. But like, I'll remember like the photographics or like an example of it. Like, I'll meet someone in person and I won't even call them by their name. Like,
We're just going to call you Hufflepuff from now on. That's it.
Hufflepuff. That works. That works.
Again, you know, people should do what they feel comfortable with. I know on one of a recent podcast that Johnathan and I were on, he mentioned that he was going to save a meteor or two. And so then everyone's like, oh, I'm going to save a meteor or two. And I was like, I can't believe you said that. Again, I get the nostalgia. You know, we created this game and it's super fun, and it's fun to have something at every stage. And yet at the same time, there's only ever going to be 8,888 Levana dragons. So what a pity it would be if 1,000 people sit on the side and they don't play. And again, I want to just reiterate that, you know, not playing, we've said, I think from the beginning, correct me if I'm wrong, Johnathan, but we've been very clear that staying active and participating will increase your potential rewards. And, you know, the airdrop is coming. So you can decide if that means, you know, oh, I've sat on the side, I haven't kept participating, I'm not active. Like, what does that mean?
Give some alpha on the airdrop. Like, what are going to be some mechanics? Is it total spirit level? Like what's it going to be like for the Levana?
Well, we don't want to. Yeah, we don't want to. So we have worked it out and we have run the numbers of some scenarios. It is, you know, we've got a lot of firepower. Look, when you're not giving to like all the Luna stakers, then you actually have like a pretty good inventory to, like, you know, to work with. So we, you know, the goal is there's 500 million tokens in total, Levana LVN tokens. So the total that are allotted to in the phase of the airdrop is 25 million. So 50 million is 10%. So this is 5%. So 5% of the total tokens. It's a pretty large airdrop, and so especially to have it be concentrated to such a small group of people. I mean, there's 300,000 Terra wallets. So when you airdrop again to like all the Luna stakers, like you're basically just spraying and praying. But when you have a core audience that cares about what you're doing and can interact, then it's then that 5% becomes much more impactful. Now, I don't want to answer your question directly because one of the things that we number one, it ruins the mystery a little bit, and then number two, it just makes it too easy to game, and so we don't want we want people to be participating for the right reasons, not just trying to figure out how to like kind of take advantage of getting free stuff.
Okay.
Then everybody who kind of everybody who outsmarts us essentially is what they're doing, then takes something away from the exact people we're trying to incentivize. So we have kept our cards a little bit close to our chest because of that.
So TLDR, you're basically saying play the I want to call it the Mario
Faction
game.
Wars.
Yeah, and play Faction
Salim's
Wars.
Adventure.
Yeah, Salim. Come on, you should have called it Mario, man. But
there's some legal problems with that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe you could have called it Luigi or something. I guess it would be the same thing. But
I don't know. We haven't met Luigi on Mars, have we? I want to speak a little bit to Salim's. I want to say to Salim's Adventure. We've had some really ambitious dust thieves that have tried to bot attack, to play with all sorts of like nefarious methods, trying to game the dust rewards. So we've had to get a little bit creative, as Johnathan mentioned. Everybody that outsmarts us. So everybody that outsmarts us or tries to outsmart us, it damages the community, because there's a community of people here who participated in the first meteor showers, who may not have gotten eggs but got dust. And we want to, honor them and thank them for their contribution. And if you attempt to steal dust from the community, then what you're really doing is diluting their, what they own. And so we are very sensitive to that. And that's why we take it so seriously. And we do hand audit, all of the results, because we want to respect the time and the effort that people have put into the game. Having said that, when 10,000 people play, we might get one or two of the audits wrong, right? Like we constantly are auditing the play and to make sure that it's fair to everybody. And that's really difficult with the, different ways that people are attempting to steal and to manipulate. It's very difficult to always get it right. So to anyone that has played and hasn't received dust and was, excluded for what we thought was foul play, I apologize for that. We're doing.
And you should know if you're stuck on Salim's Adventure,
all you got to do is walk backwards. Everyone knows it's the cheat code. Just go backwards when you start.
Yeah. So if there are speed runs which community members have put on YouTube, and there's even somebody named Levana 2X, who I have no idea who they are, but thank you for doing all of this. Made a walkthrough for every single level. So if you get stuck, you can just watch somebody, because it was designed to be tricky. It was designed to kill me. Where I'm just play aggressive. I always hold the forward button. So if you just always hold the forward button, there's always going to be a fiery thing that's like right there spinning, designed exactly to like hit you. So to make it, there's always like, you have to be patient. You have to be willing to walk backwards in order to get forward. But it's the level 6. This was like my nemesis. With where just there was really no way to make it through. Kind of like without being patient.
It is hard.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. See, look at that. You had to look at all that walking backwards. Ugh. But it's the only way to beat it.
Dude,
so yeah,
16
and 16 are particularly vicious.
Oh,
but again, Drake, as you mentioned, I think that the entertainment value, right? Like, when was the last time that you spent 2 hours trying to play a side scroller, or even had the adrenaline rush of playing a game like that, right? So I think that there is, there's joy here just from the game that we're running today.
Wait, so why didn't the guy just die right there when it was bouncing on his head?
I must have missed him. There's the sprite images. There's a little bit of leeway on them, because like like this area here, it was like whatever. It's essentially it's a rectangle, and so you have to make the rectangle a little bit smaller than the sprite. Otherwise, people end up dying without visual indication that they had any collision.
Oh, that makes sense. Sorry, my ADHD was kicking in.
Yeah. Now I'm
but-
like I don't know if you can see my head, but I can't stop twitching, just being like.
Yeah, I've been holding this thing the whole time. It's like a little, I don't even know.
And there
It's
have
like-
been people that have done, 12-minute speed runs with, one death.
Dude, that's pretty sweet. That's good.
Right? 12 minutes for the entire game, 20
That's-
levels. With
That's
one
really
death?
good, man. That's like killing it. It takes me
Yeah.
one level 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think you have to have computer assistance in order to be able to do that. Like, because we did notice like people are using keyboard recorders and
Yep.
then just playing back and then splicing it to like splice out the deaths, and then like the extent to which the community went to like to play the game blew
It's
our
like,
mind.
come on, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But it's a
Duplicate.
great learning experience. Where we believe in iterative design and iterative deployment, because this is how you learn all of this. If we just sat in a bunker for a year building a game and we brought it out, and then we were shocked that like people are building bots and people are recording and customizing and trading keyboard inputs, like if we didn't go through kind of like this trial by fire, we would be we just wouldn't make it. But it's like every time that we deliver, and we try and deliver around once every 6 weeks. So if we didn't deliver consistently like this, then we just wouldn't be learning at the rate that we're learning.
Right. So I guess getting involved, playing this game, and just basically progressing with what the team is saying. Mimi, what were you saying? Sorry.
I was going to say two things. One is the faction wars. It's not just playing this game, right? Salim's adventure is just a part of the faction wars. So, the faction wars will end with the airdrop. So, take that for what it's worth. I think that's a pretty good indicator of where our headspace is. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I just got a DM actually while we were sitting in this chat from somebody who said, hey, I was trying to teach myself Terra contracts. And so I skipped the front end and I tried to stake into the faction wars, but I somehow managed to send my talisman somewhere else. Can you help me try to retrieve it? So again, the things that we learn from the community, people during the meteor showers also, they tried to bypass the UI. They wanted to bypass the front end. They wanted to see if they could game the system. And so we see all these, attempts and educational attempts, and people are really interested to see how far they can push the envelope. And while, obviously we do encourage that, at the same time, we've tried to think about all the different ways that we, can protect your assets and can protect the community. And so that's a double-edged sword.
That's pretty cool. So I guess you were talking about the wallets and you're airdropping them. Would someone be better off if they have a bunch of dragons to put them in each and every wallet and play the game, or keep them all in one wallet? Like, how are you gonna? I'm just curious, because people are gonna throw them in different wallets, and I mean, if you can save them the pain, is that something they should do, or just?
I don't think we're going to answer that question.
Yeah.
I think.
I think I already answered it before, so I'm going to go with that.
Okay. All right. I got you. All right. And 2 more questions. The next one is scholarships. Will you be able to rent? Well, you mentioned renting out your dragons, but will you be able to rent out like the talismans? And how will the reward share be? Is it going to be like, hey, I'm going to pay you to rent my dragon, or I'm going to pay them to rent my dragon because they're questing with it? You see what I'm saying?
I think we want to support both, and the one that we support first is dependent on what the community wants. So come join the Discord and let your voice be heard. But it is something that is that's on the roadmap sooner than later.
Okay.
But I do need to call out that it won't be in this faction war. You know, the faction wars are not a one-time event. Unfortunately, on Mars, there's a lot of chaos, and so there are multiple wars, but it won't happen in this faction war. So if people are holding off staking, waiting for a scholarship program, they should join the war before it begins, because failure to join before the war begins is really going to hurt you later on.
Okay. How many do you plan on having like each month?
Oh, each month? No.
Or is this going to be like something 4 times a year?
The war can last, you know, it can be a while. It's not like going to turn on and off in a day.
Okay.
And we're also, it's a learning experience for all of us, you know, both the community and for the game designers and the developers and the storytellers. So everybody's watching very closely the behavior. Like, for example, the council started buying all of not all of them, but they bought up. The first thing they did when the council, like in the real life count, like the LARPers, you know, like live action role play.
Yeah.
There's been, so that group of council members, they started buying and then boosting the price up of the premieres for the other factions, not theirs, to make it harder for the premieres to organize. And we were like, we didn't think of that. That kind of was not in the game design. And then,
right. And then all of a sudden they started buying up the talismans, right? They thought, oh, well, you know, we've got some cash, so we'll just buy up all the talismans, but then drop the floor prices to sort of like stabilize the market and make it so so they bought up all the council talismans. And then apparently if you want to join the council, they might give you one, depending on what the level of your spirit level is, right? They want to know how many dragons you have.
Hilarious, man.
So there's a whole, other game going on, and there's a lot of strategy involved, but we also have a strategy to combat that in game, which they are totally not expecting, and I think will be shocked by.
You guys are actually missing out on the real war. The real war is the gamers versus the game makers. That's what's going on right
That's the real war. There you go.
That's the real one. All right. So the last question I want to ask is about the dragons. So right now they're still being nested for the release of Faction Wars, obviously. Will the dragons just kind of like chill in their caves, or will they go out there and fight during the wars? And even then, like, when they hatch, they're just going to be a baby, or are they going to be like the full-blown dragon NFT at that point?
Most things are born from eggs as babies.
Okay.
It's like,
I got you.
Yeah. You know, you can see Mimi's avatar here is a baby dragon. Okay, I have baby dragons behind me.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, dude, I guess it's all it is speaking to me. ADHD, like it could be right in front of me and I'm analyzing everything else, like not there.
Right. So there's a few important points. One is that, yes, the things that, hatch from eggs typically start off as babies, right? They're not full grown dragons from day one. Obviously there are full grown dragons in their future, but they do need to grow up. And there's some, training that has to happen and growing that has to happen. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that, there was lots of conversation because we had shown some pictures of some of the baby dragons, or actually like, a little bit more mature, that had nose rings and they had jewelry and they had other elements. So I just want to be clear that no baby dragon is going to be born with a nose ring, because that wouldn't really make sense.
Where did that nose ring come from?
That would just defy all laws of birth. So that's not a thing.
Mine's gonna have a tattoo on his chest.
I love it.
But yeah, no. If there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, those were most of the community questions there. Actually, the last part I think we didn't get answered was, are they going to chill or are they going to battle with us?
Right now, they're not capable of battling unless it's like embryo battling. So that would be pretty gross and sticky, maybe. And we're in the middle of scientists doing experiments on genetic modification. So that's not a great plan, because we don't want to end up with Franken dragons. So we're gonna let them chill out in their caves for now, and you know, the avatars, the people, the faction members are gonna do this battle, handle this battle. And again, you know, what's going to be the outcome of this battle will be more power, essentially, for your babies when they're ready to hatch.
That works. I'm pretty hyped. Pretty hyped to see, but I'm about to change my class. Sorry, guys.
He's like, I gotta get out of the Hufflepuff.
I gotta get out of these Hufflepuffs, man. I don't know, man. Unless they convince me otherwise, I'm leaving. But guys, hey, I appreciate you guys jumping on. I appreciate you guys sharing the alpha. As always, it's an open door. You guys can come over. I'd love to have AMAs and chat with you guys. But I do always close every single stream with a wisdom one-liner. And like I mentioned to you earlier in this video, let's do it on Proverbs chapter 15 verses 17. Better a small serving of vegetables with love than a fattened calf with hatred. Don't chase after those $1 million, man. Chase after the love. That's what you look for. Guys, thanks for jumping on. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your patience. And again, it's an open door. Come on back.
Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah,
again.
thank you for having us.
You guys can also catch me on tweeters at Rent a Home Fast, like literally at Rent a Home Fast.